LPBW Zach Roloff recalls conversation with son Jackson on dwarfism. At just 6 years old, Jackson is ready to ask the big-brained questions about himself, and proud dad Zach Roloff isn't always prepared for them. Their latest big talk was about dwarfism, a topic Zach knew was going to be discussed one day but wasn't quite prepared when the question came. But that didn't make the conversation any less special for Zach, who said that eventually discussing the topic with all three of his children is something he's looking forward to as a moment. Zach Roloff reveals young son Jackson wanted to know what living with dwarfism means. This week's episode of Little People, Big World opened fans up to a new and interesting insight into the lives of the Roloffs. Turns out Zach and Tori's eldest child Jackson, 6, has finally been opened up to the idea of what it means to be a dwarf. The couple were roasting marshmallows around the fire pit when Zach decided to share the very serious talk he had with Jackson a little while ago. He began by telling his wife that Jackson was curious about why his friend couldn't play triple a baseball. To this, Zach readily told him that his friend couldn't play because he was not a dwarf. "I'm a dwarf. What does that mean?" Zach recalled Jackson asking him afterwards. Obviously, the dad of 3 would have much rather had this conversation when Jackson was a bit more grown to understand it more fully, but he didn't attempt to dodge it either. He was kinda just confused. He was like, "Why aren't other people dwarfs?" And I said, "That's because of how God made you and this and that," Zach said. He kinda laughed. He almost thought I was name-calling him. Zach Roloff on how he felt discussing dwarfism with his young son. In a confessional, Zach opened up about his feelings talking to Jackson about dwarfism, saying, "It's not a conversation I was prepared to have, but families have dwarfism. Those moments come up that you then have to talk about. You know it's coming, you know the questions are gonna come and the curiosity about themselves. But I don't have it planned out in my head. It's just kind of however my kids bring it up. I don't think it's going to be a conversation. I think it's going to be more like moments," the reality star added. Through the show, fans have gotten to learn what it's like living with dwarfism and raising kids who are affected by it. Last week, we learned that sleep tests are recommended for people with dwarfism to ensure their sleep isn't obstructed.